Hey everybody, welcome to Saturday Scares with Kyle. I'm your host, Kyle Goethe from GoatFilmReviews.com and the Kyle and Nick on Film channel, which you're currently watching right now. And today we're going to be talking about the Audrey Hepburn-led film, Wait Until Dark. That was my DVD edition of the film, and it's one that I only recently heard about from people. My Audrey Hepburn is pretty limited to Breakfast at Tiffany's, I'll be real with you. But I had been introduced to this film by a number of horror YouTubers who were talking about, yeah, Audrey Hepburn was in a horror movie, and people are going to classify it as a thriller, and they're going to try and take away the horror of it all. This is a horrific movie, and it's filled with some incredibly evil people. Thankfully, Audrey Hepburn is not. She's a sweetheart, and we love her. But, it's filled with people that I wouldn't associate inherently as being awful. Alan Arkin, who is occasionally crusty in various movies, he's absolutely horrific in this film. Richard Crenna, who is kind of the mentor to Rambo. You'll recognize him from the Rambo films as well as Body Heat. He is usually seen as a warmer person than he is in this movie, and he's incredibly disturbing because of what he's willing to put people through. You also have Jack Weston, who's someone I'm a little bit less familiar with, but he was in Dirty Dancing, the Cincinnati Kid, playing another role. And basically, these are three criminals who have taken to trying to get a doll from the house of Susie, played by Audrey Hepburn. Susie is a blind woman. She's just kind of getting used to that life still because she only recently lost her sight. So getting used to like the surroundings that she's in and kind of being more independent on her own. And basically her husband, played by Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., he gets a doll from a woman, doesn't realize what's inside of it, and so he brings it home and protects it, but these guys want to get at the doll. So they come in and basically manipulate her for half the film, trying to make her believe that they are here to help in various roles, pretending to be a police officer, pretending to be a close friend of her husband, and really kind of play with her mind until the ruse is broken and they actually have to go after her. It is based on a 1966 play by Frederick Knott, and it's actually directed by Terrence Young. Terrence Young directed the first couple of James Bond films. He did Dr. No, he did From Russia with Love. I think he took a step away from Goldfinger and came back for Thunderball. But yeah, he is a James Bond director, and he's probably one of the most influential people in the James Bond franchise because he kind of laid the directorial groundwork for that franchise. So this is the first time I'd seen a Terrence Young film that wasn't a James Bond movie. And I thought it was incredibly disturbing, incredibly dark. I have a couple of issues with like how the pacing works in the film because I found that the layout, the structure of the film doesn't really have a lot of forward momentum, and it's broken down into chunks. I think, there's an opening that's about maybe 20 minutes before we meet Audrey Hepburn's character, where we're introduced to the criminals. And it gives a lot of the rules of the film, but I think it does so in kind of a way that kind of meanders a bit more than it needs to. I wanted us to get to Audrey Hepburn and get to her experience. And I also felt like the film is better once she realizes what's going on, which is a kind of a major turning point in the film. Before that, there's a lot of manipulation that is very unpleasant for most of the film, and I think it's harder to watch. I don't think it pulls me in the same way because it kind of does dull down the writing of Susie. It's only once she has to fend for herself that I think the film has this really great frenetic energy to it. So it's definitely a building movie. It gets way better as it goes on, and especially there's some great jump scares near the end. And I mean that in like the best possible way. There are some good jump scares in this movie. Specifically, as people are going to call it, the leap that takes place. Stephen King actually wrote in his book Danse Macabre that this is the scariest movie ever made. Now, I'm not going to agree with that, but I do think that I can see why he would find it the scariest movie ever made. The true horror is the people around us in many ways. And Alan Arkin was actually frequently asked about this film for a number of years when it came to talking about his Oscar nominations, and people would ask why are you upset that you didn't get nominated for Wait Until Dark? And I think his performance is very good. I don't think the writing serves the nomination. The writing doesn't give him those things that are going to get it. It's just such a departure of character type from what I would know him from. But he actually would usually answer, you don't get an Oscar for scaring Audrey Hepburn, and that's fair. Although Audrey Hepburn did get an Oscar nomination for Best Actress for this film, and I think that's deserved. I think she's very good, and I think even at its simplicity of using her eyes as an actress to convey their inability to see fully. She doesn't break that through a lot of the film, which is tough because she's tense. And I think when you're tense, you have a lot of involuntary movements in your body. You know, you have a lot of things that you don't control when you're playing tense. But she, being somebody who has lost sight, would have to control how that's being shown in a film. So the tension of that is really, really kind of crazy. I would say that Wait Until Dark and Hush from Mike Flanagan make a really nice double feature because they are both about women who are very clever in the moment, but who are missing a faculty that would normally help them against these intruding killers, these intruding bad guys. And I think it works pretty well with that sense. So Wait Until Dark is a movie that I liked. I think at its best, I loved certain parts of it. I just didn't like kind of certain parts at the beginning of the film as it's kind of building up its trajectory. It just takes a little bit of time that I don't think is as necessary. I think the speed of the film is important here. And I think the building when it happens near the back half of the movie is the more impressive part. So I'm definitely recommending Wait Until Dark. It's a peculiar film that I didn't know existed until recently, and I hope that you'll get a chance to check it out. It's available on digital. It's available on home video in certain elements from Warner Brothers. Definitely worth checking out because it's such a departure from anything we'd seen from Audrey Hepburn. It's a departure from Alan Arkin. It's a departure from Richard Crenna. I mean, while the latter two are known for being in some more serious films of that type, they're not usually the guys that are as disturbing as they are. So I think it is a departure for everyone involved here. Yeah, definitely something I would say worth checking out if you haven't. Now leave your thoughts on Wait Until Dark down in the comments section below. Maybe you find the first half of the film more thrilling than the back half and you disagree. That's totally cool. We can talk about it down there in the comments section. Make sure while you're down there you like and subscribe. They're 2 free things that can help to support the channel and you never miss new episodes of our show as they drop. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Saturday Scares with Kyle. Go ahead and check out Wait Until Dark and then come back here and share your thoughts on it in the comments section. I'd love to speak with you about it. And don't worry, because we're coming back next time with another new episode, and it's a new episode about a new movie as we talk about, I guess, the twin sibling to The First Omen, an episode we talked about here on the show. We're also going to talk about Immaculate, the other nunsploitation film from this year. Join us.